The Fever are feeling pretty good about themselves after that West Coast road trip, winning 4 of its last 5 after a week-long break and kind of going towards the WNBA All-Star break. Kind of humbled here on Wednesday night as the Golden State Valkyries came to town. The Valkyries came into the night 17-7, kind of quietly, surprisingly one of the best teams in the W, an upper echelon in that WNBA standings, and 88-75. This is funny because the Golden State Valkyries are the last place team as far as pace goes in the W. Fever are the first place team as far as pace goes in the W. Obviously, the Valkyries won that challenge of whose game are we going to play? What pace are we going to do? They dictated the pace, and they kind of handled the Fever. 88-75 your final on Wednesday night. Caitlin Clark continuing to be on a minutes restriction, just 25 minutes logged in this basketball game. She's hoping that isn't the case moving forward, but obviously an abundance of caution from the Indiana Fever surrounding its superstar. There's no question about that. So 4 Fever players in double figures. Kelsey Mitchell with 20 points. It felt a little disjointed. They started the game 1 of 8 from the floor, and from there just kind of, they took the lead in the third quarter after being down 12 in that same frame. But then just like that, Valkyries back out in front by 7, and then got up by as many as 12 or 14 and just didn't really look back. There was a bit of a blip there with a minute 30 left, but nothing really serious as far as a comeback is concerned from the Indiana Fever. So how does this team get consistent? Stephanie White's been harping on it, consistency. I don't know what that is, because it feels like they find something and then a couple games go by and maybe not so much. Thought they found something with the dominating win over the Las Vegas Aces, and then here at Gainbridge Fieldhouse, back at home for the first time in 18 days, oh, by the way, fall into the Golden State Valkyries. A good team, to be sure, a sound team, to be sure. But that's the name of the game here, down the back half of the season and leading into the All-Star break and after the All-Star break, consistency from this Indiana Fever team. There's no question about that. Got a chance to hear from Caitlin Clark, Sophie Cunningham, and Stephanie White after this game, and just didn't have it tonight with the Indiana Fever.
Steph, you talked a lot about consistency after the game against Las Vegas, and it just seems like you didn't have that consistency tonight. What do you as coaching staff and the players need to do to become that consistent team?
Yeah, I thought our energy was not great to start, and for whatever reason. And it's hard when you dig yourself a hole against a really solid defensive team, because they don't give you extra possessions very often, and they make it really hard on you. And we dug ourselves a hole, and then we started to claw back, and then we dug ourselves another hole and started to claw back. Some of it's, again, discipline, positioning, rotation. Some of it, the turnovers kill you when you're trying to mount a comeback, and when you're trying to give yourself an opportunity, again, against a team that doesn't typically give you those possessions back. So it was a collection of things. I felt like they were the tougher team tonight. I felt like they hit first often, and we couldn't consistently recover.
You mentioned turnovers, and they are obviously a really good defensive team,
Yep.
but this is your lowest scoring game of the season. What do you attribute that to, whether it's something they did or something you guys did not do?
Yeah, one, they're really good. Defensively, they force you to do some tough things. I think our turnovers, we miss some shots we typically make early, and it puts a lot of pressure on your defense to be perfect when you struggle from the floor, and when you give them easy opportunities in transition. I thought there were times where we did some really good things, and then there were times where we didn't, and that's building that consistency. They shot 52% from the floor. Didn't feel like we were as disruptive as we needed to be. And again, they do a really good job of spacing the floor, and they make it tough.
So you talking to the official after that play, Caitlin got kneed in the quad and hopped off for a sec. Did they give you an explanation for the no call there and how she do it?
No, they said Caitlin initiated the contact.
That's all they said?
That's all they said. She seems to always be initiating the contact.
Steph, in that third quarter, Caitlin Chen got going there late. What did you see maybe defensively that allowed her to kind of go off?
Yeah, our ball screen coverage in the middle wasn't good. Trying to make a couple of adjustments, in the moment on the fly. There just wasn't enough, I feel like, urgency. She's been playing really well the last, 6 or 7 games. And, I thought her ability to get downhill, her ability to keep us off balance, and then making the right play and the right read.
Coming off the long road trip, how much do you think fatigue kind of factored in there with the way that you finished out the third quarter?
Yeah, it probably, but we don't have time for that. This has got to be no excuses, like standard over feelings. Like everybody in this league goes through this. This is not. It's not something that we're going to be immune to, and everybody else isn't. I just think we've got to our mentality to start the ball game needed to be better. And when you spend all of that energy, trying to come back at multiple points in the game, it becomes a hard road, at times. And so, we can't give in to those excuses.
Yeah. You mentioned Caitlin always seems to initiate the contact. Just what did you see in the officiating overall tonight, or just in general?
Chloe, I'm trying to not get fined. Again, all I'll say is that we just keep asking for consistency.
5 is tied for the lowest you guys have scored in a game all year. Offensively, where did you feel like you guys struggled to get going?
Man, I think we had a little bit of too many turnovers. They definitely slowed the pace down, and at the end of the day, we got to play what works for us. We got to keep our pace high. We got to play our defensive schemes, take care of business on the defensive end, get boards, and run. That's what we're good at. We have great people who are awesome in the open court, and so I just think we lacked pace tonight, honestly.
Caitlin, can you take me through that second quarter play with Stokes that made you upset, and then you hopped into the back?
Like, that hurts. Like, the ref can't miss that. And then I have to play with a contusion in my leg the rest of the game. Like, it's ridiculous. Can't miss calls like that.
Did they give you an explanation right after when you?
She
went
said
up to him?
I initiated the contact, which is fine. You can't knee me in the leg, knock me over.
Caitlin, for you, what do you think they did just defensively to make it a little tougher tonight than usual?
Yeah, I mean, I got some good looks. Obviously, it's hard. I think I played 10 minutes in the first half. It's just struggling a little bit to find a flow. And, they're in my grill. They're probably the best defensive team in the league. They're really good at that. They do what they do. And I had some good looks that didn't go down. And then, I shot some tougher looks too. But, I thought I finally kind of played with a little bit more pace and a little bit more burst, especially down the stretch in the fourth. But hopefully I don't have to keep playing 25 minutes.
Well, speaking of that, as far as the contusion goes, it seems like you're not too
We'll
concerned
just
about
rub it out.
She's
fine. Yeah. Good old knuckles on it and call it a day.
On the other end of the floor, Golden State 17 of 25 in the paint. Sophie, I guess what were the issues on that end?
I mean, they're a really good team. They have an offense, and they stick with their offense, and they have fast guards. They have great spacing. They really are a very fundamental team on both sides of the ball, and that's a tough matchup for anybody. But honestly, at the end of the day, we have to stick to our schemes. We got to stick to our scout. We have to do what works for us, and I think we got away with, or we just didn't, live up to the standard tonight. We had a long West Coast trip, and I think our legs are a little tired, and I think a lot of people saw that. But we had a slow start. The second unit came out and let their second unit kind of go off, and I'll own that for the second unit because we have to go out there and set the tone. But we just weren't good enough tonight.
Yeah, just for either of you, Steph talked a lot after the Las Vegas game about consistency, and it seems like it wasn't there tonight. Just what do you guys need to do to become a more consistent team?
Yeah, I mean, I think the difference was we played right into what they wanted to do. They're last in the league in pace. We're first in the league in pace. We scored 75 points. They scored 88. We just did what they wanted to. We didn't dominate in that area, but it's also hard to play with pace when, you're not creating turnovers, you're not getting deflections, or you're not getting stops. I feel like that's kind of what allowed us to make a run there in the third and the fourth is we finally got stops and we were pushing in transition. They're a great half-court defensive team. They're hard to score on. That's just reality, and they do things really well. They're really athletic. They rotate really well. But, we still beat them from the three-point line, and that's their game. So, it's got to be the other areas. Like Sophie said, I think they had 22 points off of our turnovers. That's a huge difference in the game right there. Got to be able to take care of the ball. And, we can't let teams dictate how the game's going to go. We need to be the ones dictating. Cool.
So the Fever fall to 14-10 on the season. They'll be back here at Gainbridge Fieldhouse at home against the Seattle Storm on Friday. Good opportunity to pick up a win here and string something together, and before you know it, you'll be 10 games over 500 and near the top 3 of the WNBA, and then a lot can happen. I think this team has the makings. They got the big three. They got the spurts, all right? They have the style of play. And then when they really hone in and focus, they can be a good defensive team, a good rebounding team, and a team that takes care of the basketball. But can we see that on a consistent basis with the Indiana Fever? I think that is going to be the question post All-Star break. We're almost there. We got 3 Fever All-Stars. 13 Sports will be in Chicago. Myself, my photographer Josh Blankenship, bringing you all the All-Star weekend action from the Windy City. But until then, Friday back here at home for the Indiana Fever against the Seattle Storm. That game's at 7:30. We'll see if this team can get back in the win column, establish some of that momentum, start building some of that consistency. We'll certainly see. Here at Gainbridge Fieldhouse, Dominic Miranda. Keep it locked on our streaming platform and on air on WTHR.